Alright guys, hope you're all keeping safe. As promised, I said I would cover the title update 9.1 patch notes in full. Now, I don't know if anything's changed in these patch notes compared to what we got told a week or so ago, so this might just be a repeat of what I've already told you in a previous video. However, there might be some new stuff in here, so I'm going to go through all of it, and that way you guys know exactly what to expect when TU 9.1 goes live, which should be very, very soon, just after the maintenance on Thursday. That will either be tomorrow as of me recording this video, or it going live, or it will be today, depending on when I put the video out. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to do that yet. So here are the patch notes, and let's begin. So what it says here is NPC and AI developer comment: the balance changes in title update 9.1 are intended to eliminate outliers with NPC weapons, abilities and behaviors. These are specific fixes and a first pass at balancing these outliers. If further adjustments are necessary, then they will be made in title update 10. We are also looking at global NPC balance with title update 10, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what this global NPC balance with title update 10 is going to look like. Maybe they have taken some of the feedback from people about red bar NPCs, even on the highest difficulty, doing too much damage, and they should be doing chip damage along with minigun warhounds, that sort of thing. And maybe they're going to do something about that. Maybe it means that instead of the NPC stuff, you know, we're going to actually see some changes in armor values, so armor can become actually something that's useful in the game right now. But we'll wait and see what happens with TU10. So NPC status effect nerfs. Developer comment: certain NPC status effects were too strong. With TU 9.1, we are adjusting their damage to players. These changes also affect PvP status effect damage. Now this is, I believe this is probably going to be the only change for PvP stuff in these patch notes. It's a huge and a good change, because status effects in PvP, I actually played Conflict a week ago. I played maybe a couple of matches and I just bled out the entire time. So yeah, status effects in PvP are a big problem. I'm glad they're going to be, this change is coming into effect for PvP as well. And we do know with TU10 they are looking at PvP changes as a whole, so hopefully they'll be good. Also, changes: reduced damage caused to players by burn status effect, reduced damage caused to players by bleed status effect. Now we don't know exactly what that changes, how much damage is reduced. We're going to have to test it. If it's anything like the poison damage, then I'll be very happy, because the poison damage now, even on the highest difficulty, is not a big problem. Obviously, if you sit in it for too long, then yeah, you might get caught out, or if you're low on health or low on harm or whatever, you might get caught out. But generally, it's not that much of a big problem, and I hope that that same thing will apply here. We'll have to wait and see. NPC weapon nerfs. Developer comment: certain NPC weapons dealt significantly more damage than others. These changes should bring them more in line with the other NPC's damage output capabilities. Changes: reduced damage and out of cover accuracy of SMG used by Red Bar Hyena Assault. This is one of those really big problems, especially as you go up. Actually, it doesn't matter what difficulty you're playing on, this has been a real big kind of outlier. It's even more prevalent as you go up in difficulty, so I'm really glad about it. Not just the reducing damage, but the actual out of cover accuracy as well. I'm really glad about that, because an SMG shouldn't be hitting you every bullet from range, and that's what this was doing. Reduced range of Cleaner's Tank's flamethrower. Again, really happy about that, because a flamethrower had, like, I mean, I know in real life flamethrowers generally can have really far distances, right? I get that, but still, in this game, it was just one of those things that was really annoying. More than anything, it didn't really increase the difficulty, it just was one of those really annoying things, so glad about that. Nerfed Hyena RC cars. Reduced damage of Hyena RC car explosion. Reduced duration of lingering ground fire from elite Hyena RC car explosion. Reduced duration of burn confused status effect applied by elite Hyena RC car explosion. Reduce how often the RC cars are deployed. Me personally, I haven't actually had much problem with the RC cars. Generally what I find is that when I know there's an RC car around, I shoot it before it gets anywhere near me. But I do know that when it does and it explodes, it can almost feel like one tap, and then you've got all these status effects and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm really, again, I'm glad this is being nerfed, because for some people this was really a problem. So I'm glad about that. Nerfed Black Tusk suicide drones. Reduced damage of Black Tusk suicide drone explosion. Reduce how often Black Tusk suicide drones are deployed. Really, really, really good nerf. Really, really happy about this. This thing here, reduce how often Black Tusk suicide drones are deployed, is one of those major problems that I think a lot of people have with skills from NPCs in general, where there doesn't appear to be any real cooldown, unlike us as agents, where our cooldowns are really, really long. NPCs just don't have that. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm also glad about the explosion, the damage on this, because it was quite extreme, and even the range was quite extreme as well. So good news. Fixed issue where NPCs could throw a Firefly variant which did an excessive amount of damage to players. I never saw this, but I did see the video of showing this off. It was a thing, so that's good. NPC grenade throw accuracy nerfs. Developer comment. NPCs were too accurate with their grenades. Yeah, just a little bit. These changes introduce the idea of each NPC having an optimal distance for their grenade accuracy. The further away the NPC's target is, the less accurate their grenades will be. The optimal distance varies based on faction and veterancy. For example, the Outcast thrower's Molotov optimal distance is 20 meters. The Hyena thrower's Airburst optimal distance is 30 meters. If the player is 35 meters away, then the Outcast will be less accurate than the Hyena at that distance, and that makes sense. Distance from target has less of an effect on the accuracy of elites, hunters, rogue agents, and legendary NPCs. And again, I don't think anyone's got any issues with these particular types of enemies being fairly good at their accuracy. It can be annoying, and they are still getting nerfed, but I don't think people have generally got an issue with this. It's when you start seeing red bars and veterans who are hitting you from 40 meters away. I mean, grenades that are hitting you outside of your marksman rifle distance, essentially. They can still throw that far with great accuracy. That's the real problem, and I'm really glad they've made those changes. Well, actually, here are the changes. Reduced grenade accuracy with distance to target, reduced accuracy of Hyena thrower's airburst, Black Tusk mini tanks grenade, and Cleaner's turret napalm airburst. So really good news. NPC blindfire accuracy nerfs. This is something I've talked about before. A lot of people have been talking about. NPC blindfire was too effective. These changes reduce NPCs' possible damage output while blind firing. Changes reduced how accurate NPCs are while blind firing. Note, legendary get more accurate the longer they are blind firing, but this is still significantly less accurate than before this change. Really good fix. Really happy about this. NPCs no longer blind fire with a shotgun or sniper rifle. Again, brilliant news, because I've been blind fired by a sniper before, like one tapped. NPCs instead switch to a pistol to blind fire with. Again, good news. Pistols generally will do less damage, so that's good. Note, hunters, rogue agents, and some bosses are an exception and break this rule. Again, that's fine. I don't think anyone's got any issues of hunters, rogue agents, or bosses being a lot more accurate than, say, a red bar or veteran. Okay, there needs to be that tier. Okay, so that you come up against an elite or a boss, and you know they're going to be way more effective than someone like a veteran, which you know is going to be way more effective than, say, someone like a red bar. So I'm, again, happy with that. Tank archetypes no longer blind fire their weapons. Perfect. NPC aggressiveness. Developer comment. There is no easy global fix for NPC aggressiveness. There was no intentional desire to increase NPC aggressiveness with TU8. Instead, the shift in global difficulty from TU7 to TU8 surfaced underlying issues with various NPC behaviours which could result in them being overly aggressive. These fixes only address some sources of the perceived NPC aggressiveness. We are still investigating other sources and working on fixes. Changes. Reduce frequency and aggressiveness of NPC behaviour to advance on hidden targets. Players who have not exposed for a long duration. So that's good, because what you would find is you'd be in cover, and after a period of time, NPCs would just flank you and run round you, while they've actually extended this duration for a longer period of time. Also, and I don't know if this is going to mention this here, sometimes I enter cover, and for some reason, NPCs just know I'm there. They see me through the cover. I don't know what it is, but maybe that's something they need to look at as well. Fixed prolonged aggressive circling caused by some NPCs' reaction to targets being too close. Players are within 5 meters of them. This affected the Hyena Assault, Cleaner Assault, and Outcast Assault. Again, this is really, really good as well. These NPCs should now back off as opposed to circle around you and stay in that formation. Fix some status effect reactions which could cause non-tank NPCs to path towards players aggressively. I've seen this, especially with Blind. I've seen this, and this is really annoying. Further lowered likelihood of tank archetypes to rush towards player hives, turrets to stomp them. Because tanks and stuff are so difficult, or not so difficult really, but because they take a lot of hit points, especially when you're up at like heroic and stuff, the chances are your hive or your turret will just get stomped. There's no way you can stop it. And if you've got an effective hive or turret, the chances are you're not going to be doing a lot of damage, and so you're never going to be able to stop these tanks from actually destroying them. This is good news. Adjusted status effect reaction to priorities to fix issue that allowed ensnared NPCs to still move if blind or burned. Okay, good. NPC ability nerfs. Developer comments. Certain NPC healing abilities were too strong. These changes reduced their strength. Changes. Black Tusk support station tuning. Support station no longer heals mechanical NPCs, warhounds, mini-tanks, etc. That was annoying. Support station no longer heals destructible props, which are objects players must destroy in a mission. I never actually noticed this myself. Legendary version of support station now checks line of sight and has healing cap amounts like normal version. Armor kits no longer completely heal bounties and other bosses. No, hunters still heal completely. The armor kits thing is really good. I believe what they said actually is that there's going to be diminishing returns. So if they heal once and it does 70% of their armor back and they heal again, it will only do like 60%. So there is that diminishing turns, which is good because, as I say, some bounties and bosses didn't have that. It's good to hear that there's healing caps on the legendary version of the support station. That's good as well. Player buffs, although I don't play legendary myself because I play solo and there's just no way to get into legendary as a solo player. That's something that I hope they address as soon as possible. Player buffs, developer comment. The blower adjustments should improve options in the player's toolkit to counter NPCs. We are reviewing more changes like these for TU10, and I suspect TU10 is going to be a far more substantial update to this one, which is a fairly substantial update, I would say, when you consider all the stuff they're changing. Changes: buffed player skill survivability, reduced how much damage player skills take from NPCs. This is very, very good news. This is something we've been asking for a very long time, and I've said this before. Especially skills that are line of sight to NPCs. You know, you've got what have we got? We've got drones and turrets and stuff which need a line of sight in order to do the damage that they need. Unlike other skills like the mortar, for example, these ones particularly need to have an increase in their how long they can survive against NPCs. So we'll have to see how much this buff is, or nerf. Is it a nerf? It's a buff to the skill's health, essentially. That's not how they've done it, but that's what it is, essentially. We then got buff damage of player status effects. Increased damage caused by NPCs by bleed status effect. Increased damage caused by NPCs by poison status effect. And increased damage caused to NPCs by napalm and snare status effect. This is, again, really good news. They didn't put blind in here because blind on a CC build currently is really strong against NPCs. If you're running a CC build is pretty much needed in a group. If you're running in anything above, well, if you're running legendary, it just has to be there. You can probably get through any content on heroic and challenging if you're good enough without any kind of CC, but blind is just so strong. But now they've obviously increased the rest of the stuff to probably get up towards that, which again increases the variety, and that's a good thing. Buffed in cover blind fire for players. Reduced size of players' hitbox against NPCs when they are in cover and are blind firing. I think that's good. Yeah, that must be good. If it's a buff, it's good. Dev comment, this should make it feel less risky for players to blind fire NPCs. Okay, that's really, really good. Because as you probably know, because NPCs are so accurate, if you blind fire from cover, the chances are you're gonna get tapped out pretty quickly, especially when you're playing on the high difficulties. So I'm really glad that this has been put in there, so now NPCs are far less likely to actually hit you as you're blind firing out of cover. And then it says store instant season level unlocks. Players are now able to purchase instant season level unlocks. I talked about this in either today's or yesterday's video, depending on when this goes out, with the state of the game. A level can be purchased for 100 premium credits in the season UI. The devs did say that you might be able to buy a bundle of them. We'll have to wait and see when the maintenance gets over. And then bug fixes, and I will talk about some of these because I think they're important. First, improvements to the issues causing FPS drops in Dark Zones during extractions and longer play sessions. I don't play in the Dark Zone because there's just really no incentive for me to play, and PvP is just pretty bad, as you guys all know. I don't need to repeat that too much. You know it's bad, but this is good because I have seen reports of this, and so this is good. And it says first improvements, so there's going to be more. Fix issues that could cause the NPCs for the Saturn Manhunt and Gold King bounties to spawn past a closed gate, making them inaccessible. Fix an issue causing players to be unable to enter the technology laboratory in Kenley College. Who's still playing Kenley College, I don't know. Fix an issue causing players to be unable to remove the recommended activity projects from the HUD. This was annoying. I'm really glad about this. Fix an issue causing the Friendly Oxidizer Chem Launcher skill to cause damage to allied players' skills. Okay. Fix an issue causing the Frenzy talent to incorrectly stay active after swapping weapons. Fix an issue causing players on Stadia to crash when accessing the Central Aquarium classified assignment. Fix an issue that could cause the Seeker's Mind skill to have a lower than intended cooldown. I've not seen that one. I use Seekers quite a lot. I've not actually seen that myself. Fix an issue that caused players to unable to interact with the Scrambler during the settlement blockade activity. Fix an issue that could cause the doors to not open during the break through the Black Tusk Forces beat in the DARPA Research Lab main mission. Fix an issue that could cause progression to be blocked after getting killed by rogue agents during the invaded Grand Washington Hotel main mission. Fix an issue that could cause players to be unable to pick up keys in Operation Dark Hour's normal mode after interacting with the crates. Only a few more, guys. Fix an issue that could cause several Kajika bosses to be spawned in the Pathway Park main mission. Again, this is good because this was, I believe this happened as a result of their first fix. People are probably still going to find a way to get around this, to be honest. Fix an issue that could cause enemy NPCs to spawn out of thin air during open world activities. I have experienced this. And especially, not that I've done the Warhound, I've seen videos of people doing the Warhound when this happened, but I've actually had this happen to me when I was doing control points. And you know I haven't been doing the Warhound. Have you seen my shade level? It's like 214. I'm taking my time, guys. I'm not rushing through any of this content, otherwise I'm going to have nothing to play for a very long time. Fix an issue that could cause two buttons to have the same function when engaging in a global event, and having a global event reward available. So that's it, guys. I don't think there was anything here that I didn't cover in my other video when they pretty much put out the patch notes. They did say that they might add or change some stuff, or some stuff might not make it. And that's why I wanted to do this video for you guys, and also I promised I would. But you guys know exactly what's going to be coming now. And overall, I'm happy. I'm really happy with these nerfs to NPCs, because more than anything, this isn't going to affect difficulty as much as it's just going to fix the annoying stuff in the game. Right, it wasn't difficult when you know, an NPC threw a grenade with 100% accuracy. Right, you know it's coming, you can move out the way. It was just frustrating that they could do it all of the time, and that's the same with a lot of this stuff. So really, really happy about that. I'm looking very much forward to TU10. TU10 is meant to be a much bigger patch. And I don't know what they got in the works. I mean, we know they're getting new gear. We know they got the raid coming. There's global NPCs coming. We know they're doing changes to the loot specifically. We know they're doing changes to PvP. Really looking forward to it. Let me know, guys, in the comments below if you've played TU 9.1 before you've watched this video and you've got some feedback. Leave it in the comments down below. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for all of your support. And until the next one, Epic out.